Hello and welcome to the final game of US vs UK 2014. The best of 9 series is currently tied 4-4, so this is the crucial deciding game. Tonight, Jeff Thevenot of the US is playing David Eldar of the UK. The game has just started, so let's join the action. David's gone first and he has played Weir, having used up 9 seconds of time. We're with Jeff. He's got a balanced rack. Does he have a bingo? Boghead is being suggested, but I don't think that's being seriously suggested. But fabulous start for David and for the UK. That is just what you need in a crucial game, an opening bingo. The chances of having an opening bingo are about 1 game in 7. So David is quite fortunate to have Weir. But also an excellent spot. It's a slightly obscure word. Usually if you have a bingo with a Y, the Y features at the beginning or the end. This is one of the rare occasions when it features in the middle. Now both Jeff and David have won both of their previous 2 games in this tournament. So one of them will maintain a 100% record and the other will drop a game. Now what should Jeff do with this rack? He's taking a while to decide what to do. He's got the high scoring tiles, the B and the H. He's got 36 points. That's a good score. We're back with David and that looks pretty good. There may be a bingo here. They're all pretty bingo-y tiles and he's got no duplicates and he's got a good balance of vowels and consonants. But the only floaters are the W and H of Weir. And I can't see a bingo through those. If there were a floating P, David would have lipogram. Or a marigold onto a D. Columns 7, 8 and 9 do have 2 letters in them, which could be part of a 9-letter word, but they're not particularly bingo-y pairs of letters. So David's got a 54-point lead. And he's in a pretty good position. I'm wondering if he's got a non-bingo-y play in column 5. There is a double-double row there. Now Holm is being suggested by one of our railbirds. And Mike Barron has indicated that rigmarole would be playable with the right floaters. That would be pretty fabulous. Bai does take an A in front and Oi takes an M. Okay, he's gone for tile turnover and score, 27 points. We're back with Jeff and this looks pretty bingo-y. But I don't think there is a 7. And the floating W and H have now been restricted. There is a floating G of glioma, but that duplicates a tile on Jeff's rack, so that's not particularly helpful. But he should be able to leave himself with a pretty good rack leave. What he may struggle to do is score. Abai does take an E after it, but E is probably one of the tiles Jeff would like to keep on his rack. Dago at E5 is being suggested. That's quite nice, making do, am and gaby, keeping IES. Slightly vowel heavy, but it's a pretty good set of 3 tiles. Well, Jeff has also gone for turning over tiles. And score, 34 points. Another good rack for David. The ideal mix of vowels and consonants. And he's got a good scoring tile in the X, so I don't think he's got a bingo this go. But he may be able to score well with the X. He's got cervix as a 6-letter play. Now, is there a play in column 8? A 5-letter word ending XI, that would be a 60-point play. Zurich is being suggested and played 63 points. And David now has a 110-point lead. But Jeff has the Q and he's got the U to go with it. But can he score well? He's got Aqua, so he could play Aqua and a Do in row D. It's not going to score fabulously well, but the Ratcliffe of ARS is good, and it is getting rid of the Q. Well, Quasar 59, I didn't spot that, that's really good. And yeah, back with David, his lead is now reduced to 51 points. Wow. Well, I'm just reading what Aphasiac is saying. Heliogram was playable by David. But it looks like he wasn't sure of it. Now, what is playable here? This looks close to a bingo, but I don't think there is one, and there are not many floaters on this board. And I'm not seeing many suggestions from our railbirds. Waved could be played in column 4. David might like to continue turning over tiles to increase the chances of drawing the blanks, neither of which has been played yet. Yep, an interesting observation from Mr. Brain. All 6 plays so far have been horizontal. So it'd be interesting to see when we get our first vertical play. Now, the V is probably a tile which David would like to play off. That could go in front of double E in column 9. I'm just wondering if there is a play beginning, a 3-letter play, VE, something, but I don't think there's one available on David's rack. So waved and heaved, he's gone for waved. So that has opened the board up, which will be to Jeff's advantage since he's about a bingo behind. Now Pingu88 has commented that Infobarn would be playable through an H. That would be pretty good, but there is no H. So I don't think there is a playable bingo with this rack. But Jeff does have scoring tiles in the F and the B, and he'll be looking to play at least one of the duplicate ends. Not a huge number of opportunities on this board. Fab could be played in row C above Zurich, but that's retaining 2 ends, and that's not good when you're trying to come back with a bingo. And waved's quite good from David's perspective, because although it's opening the board up in terms of providing floaters, it's not providing a lot of parallel opportunities because the V doesn't take a letter before or after. So quite a tricky rack for Jeff. He's used up nearly a quarter of his time. And we're about halfway through the game, 49 tiles in the bag. Yeah, pretty good, 30 points. And wow, that's quick. Olivine, 65. So now Jeff is over 100 points behind. What can he do about this? He's got ZO above Zurich for about 40 odd points. Is there something better? The trouble with ZO is that it's keeping 2 ends, and that's not bingo-y, and a B. Now, it looks like when David played Olivines, he could have played in Volves. I've just noticed that being pointed out by Mitsurugi, and I think that would have been a higher scoring play. Now, what are the options for Jeff? I mentioned the Z play. Mr. Brain is suggesting Bozo in column 3. Oh, that's quite interesting. Parallel to waved, putting an O in row O. That would certainly open the board up. But again, it's retaining 2 ends. But he may have to do that if he can't score well with the Z and an N. £45 points for Zoe, which does at least retain a vowel to go alongside the 2 ends. £112 lead for David Eldar. I'm looking in column 8 to see if anything is playable down from the E of olivines. But Enzone is not good. Enzone would have been good had Jeff had an E on his rack. It's been pointed out that if Jeff does play Zoe, okay, he hasn't done that, and David has drawn the first blank, but the C, P, W and R, well, I don't think new pence is good, and would in any event require a floater. He's played Wince fairly quickly, which has sorted the rack out. We're back with Jeff, and this is not looking good. Dob takes an S and a Y after it. Jeff's got neither of those. And yes, an S and a Y. Zonk is good. That would certainly sort the rack out to some extent, but I'm not sure there's anywhere to play it. Now David's play of Wince has opened up a bingo lane in column 12, but he won't mind doing that because he's about 110 points ahead and he's got the blank, so he'll be expecting to bingo. Pos, 42 points, pretty good. Now we should see a bingo coming down. Seeping in column 12 is playable, and ES. Is there anything better than that? I guess that column with the P on the double letter square would be better. Okay, well, maybe no such play was available, so there it goes, Seeping 72 points, and David's now got quite a large lead, 141 points, so that's about 2 bingos. So I think Jeff is looking down the barrel of a gun, especially with this rack, which is not bingo-y. But there is still a blank out there. And there are enough tiles left for Jeff to have 2 bingos. Now, he does have a scoring tile in the K. But where can that be played to good effect? Well, I'm looking around and not seeing anything amazing. And this is quite a blocked board now. The whole of the top of the board is, the top 2 rows are inaccessible. While Jeff is striving to keep the board open, but we're back with David. He's got Moriuli. I don't think there's anywhere to play that. And I can't see an 8-letter bingo through the N or the K of gunk. But this is quite a bingo-y set of letters. David may seek to play off a lot of tiles to expedite the end of the game and increase his chances of drawing the final blank. I note that no T's have been played yet. So does David have a play through the K of gunk? One way back into this game for Jeff would be to have a 9 timer in column 15. Not very likely with a K in exactly 5th place, but it could happen. David may seek to eliminate that possibility. He could play MEU in row N underneath gunk. I'm sorry, KU is not good. Moa would play in that spot. But I suspect he would like to play off the U because this is a fairly bingo-y set of tiles and there is a blank out there. Well, if one of the T's was on the board, he would have emulator. Both players have been playing quite quickly. They've both got more than half their time left, which is quite a contrast to last night's game where both players ran their clocks down to 0 and beyond in one case. Well, no serious suggestions from our railbirds. I'm wondering about column 14, if the M could be placed on the triple letter square. 5-letter play, M, something, something, N, something. Well, there's Morn playable in that spot. 26 points, but that is retaining the U. Okay, 27 points for Okra. David has taken out the most dangerous lane, and Jeff finally does have a good rack. He's drawn the second blank. And surely there is a bingo. Yes, Nocturia, 74 points. Deficit is now 76 points. But is there time for Jeff to come back? His board does not have any bingo lanes on it at the moment, which suits David fine. He's got a scoring tile in the M and quite a balanced rack. So as long as he can prevent Jeff from bingoing, he should win. Only 18 minutes of game time in total. So this game has been played at a fair old lick. Now, column 11 is a possibility. The M could be placed next to the I of seeping. And there are still 4 T's out there, so David may want to play off his T to prevent himself from being swamped by them. So mute is playable in that spot. It keeps 2 A's, but that's not a terrible problem. And it doesn't provide any openings for Jeff. I can't see anything else which plays in that spot. Eight tiles in the bag, but only 4 vowels. So of the 15 remaining tiles, there are only 4 vowels. So in this case, retaining a vowel-heavy rack lead will not be a problem. Now, there is still a bingo lane open on this board, I note from the Railbird's comments. Column 14 for bingos ending in N. That's just been taken out by David, although he has provided a new lane in column 14. But Jeff does not have a bingo. There are only 3 tiles in the bag. So it looks like David is going to win this game. Even if Jeff were to bingo, David would still be the favourite. Now, is there anywhere really hot for the J? Well, he could play jaw in row C, jaw, G and R, and that would leave 1 tile in the bag and a fairly bingo-y rack leave. So jaw or Jew look like the best options for Jeff. Now, Evil Budgie who is a Scrabble grandmaster, is suggesting a play of jar. Right, okay, well that's column 10, J-A-R, for about 30 points, on the basis that if he draws the unseen A, he'll have a selfish front hook for jar. And by selfish, I mean an opening that he can use, which his opponent can't. And that might be quite tricky for David to block. But I don't know if there is a combination of letters which would give Jeff 2 bingos, a bingo in row A and a bingo in column 14. EST does take an S after it. But I think those are the only 2 bingo lanes on this board. Well, at the moment there's only 1 bingo lane, so maybe jar is the only winning play. This has been quite a brutal game for Jeff. David opened with a bingo, way here, and really was just able to keep on scoring and extend his lead. The Nocturia play by Jeff reduced the deficit, but not by enough. Well, Jeff has played Jew for 41 points, so he hasn't opened up the row A bingo lane, and in any event, David had the final A. Now, I wonder if he'll be considering playing in column 14. His M can go after the U of luthier. But looking at the remaining 8 tiles, 7 of those will be on Jeff's rack, so David will be able to assess whether there is a playable bingo in column 14, and if he decides there isn't, he will not need to block it. But whatever he plays, he'll be drawing 1 tile from the bag, and that will probably be a consonant, so he may want to hold on to his A. I think the game is won now. David has got a 51-point lead, and I can't see Jeff overcoming that deficit without a bingo, and there are no bingo opportunities left. So Flam at K1 has been suggested. Well, David has gone for that spot, and he drew a vowel, so he's quite fortunate. David has got felt on his rack. And Jeff is 75 points behind. And he does not have a bingo, so he is going to lose. Does take an S after it, so he could play stay in column 15. What else is available? Well, I guess Jeff will be considering David's final rack of felt to see if he's got 2 spots or 1 spot. If there's only 1 spot, he can block that. Well, felt does play in row K underneath olivines, making if, ni, L and ST. Is there somewhere else for felt? If there isn't, then Jeff should probably be thinking about blocking that out. Well, there's flight as well further along in row K. But it should be possible to block both of those possibilities. And if he retains the S as well, Jeff will be able to play in column 15 with his final move. Well, having said he should be able to block both of them, I'm struggling to see how. I think Jeff may have a bingo on his rack. I think Ditay's is good, but there's nowhere to play it. Five minutes left on Jeff's clock, 9 minutes on David's. So can Felt and Flight be blocked, and is there a third out that I haven't considered elsewhere? Well, I'm looking around the board and I can't see anywhere else for David to play. Well, good move by Jeff. That does block both of the outs for David, but at the expense of burning his S, so the hook is no longer available. David's got Felt on his rack, and Jeff has got DI. I'm sure there's two places for DI. Row G, DI and GI, and row K, DI and OI. So Jeff is certainly going out. Ten points for David. And Jeff has now got 4.5 minutes to find the best spot for DI. Well, there's Din in column 14 for 6 points. Id for 14. Just wait for David to formally end the game, which he does. So, the final score, 387 to Jeff Thevenow, 440 for David Eldar, a winning margin of 53 points. And that means that the UK wins this tournament by 5 games to 4. Let's see what the players missed. So, this is the rack we didn't get to see because it was played so quickly. And Weyer was the only bingo. So well spotted by David. This was the Boghead rack for Jeff. No bingos here. He played Bow. That looks fine. Now, this is where Heliogram was playable. David spotted it, but apparently wasn't sure, didn't play it. Played Glioma instead. And back with Jeff, this was fairly bingo-y. Well, there's David confirming I did spot Heliogram. Till next time. Okay, let's just reply. Right, so this was Jeff's rack, and he played Doji, and that looks good. And here we had Zurich for 63 points, which was the best. And Jeff came straight back with Quasar for 59. Now at this point, David had a 50-point lead. And he played Waved for 26, which opened the board up, but played off tiles. Back with Jeff's rack. He played Fob for 28, that looks best. Well, except he didn't. He played Naive for 30 points, and that's the second choice down there. And Naive scores more and the rack leaves better, so I think Naive is better than Fob. Now, this is where David played Olivines quite quickly, but he could have played Involves for an extra 13 points, so Olivines certainly suboptimal there, but a good spot nevertheless. Jeff had the Z, but he also had duplicate tiles in the N and the O, and this is a move he spent quite a while on. And he played Dob for 21, and I'm not sure I fully see the logic behind that, because he's keeping the Z, and which is fine, but he's also keeping 2 N's, which isn't fine. And he's getting 21 points as opposed to 45 or 48 for playing off the Z, so I'm maybe missing something on this rack. But I think there were better plays available. David drew the blank and played Wince for 20, keeping a pretty good rack leave of blank NP and opening up a bingo lane. in column 12. Jeff struggled, but part of the reason for the struggle is the poor rack lead, which included 2 N's and the Z. But he was able to play pause for 42, but again, the rack lead not good. This was David's rack, and he played seeping for 72. He could have got a few more points by playing pinges in row I, also making heps and re, but that's opening up column 15, so seeping looks best. Back with Jeff's rack. And he played gunk, and the reason for that is to open the board up. He's a long way behind, and he needs to bingo, so opening the board up is the right thing to do strategically. Back with David, he's got Moruli, but nowhere to play it. And this is where he played Okra, and he could have played Okum, which would have been nice. Jeff finally does have a good rack, and he finds a good bingo in Nocturia. Neutrino was also playable for the same number of points, and there were lower scoring bingos available. This was David's rack. He's now sitting on a 70 or 80 point lead. What did he do? He played Lutia for 16 points, burning off a lot of tiles, expediting the end of the game. And he's keeping the M, which he knows can go next to the U of Lutia, so he's partly setting up a scoring opportunity for himself next go in column 14. Jeff has got the J, and this is where he played Jaw or Jew, and the suggested alternative was Jar for 10 fewer points, but opening up row A. But that wouldn't have mattered in any event, or wouldn't have been effective in any event, because the final A was held by David. And he played Flam for 27 points. He played Tram for 24 points, 3 points fewer, keeping FLT. So he's retaining the F as a scoring tile and avoiding duplicates, so that's fine. And this is where Jeff could see what David had on his rack that he had felt, and he blocked the 2 places for it by playing Tasty. Now, David played Fet, I think, for 10 points. He could have... Well, you can see all the opportunities there are fairly low scoring, so it's difficult to identify on the hoof which is best, but it wouldn't have affected the result in any event because David had a large lead. And finally, Id for 14 was the best. So, quite a rip-roaring final game. David was able to come out of the blocks really fast with Weia and keep scoring and maintain a lead, and the win in the end was fairly comfortable. So congratulations to the UK team of David Eldar, Wayne Kelly and me, and commiserations to the US team of Jeff Thevenot, Conrad Bassett Bouchard and John O'Loughlin. I hope you've enjoyed watching this tournament. It's been great fun to put on and to record and commentate and play in. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll do it all again next year.